had nothing to eat. My mother said she just had some rice and she cooked that rice and with salt they ate that rice.
Rama used to observe my practice but never interfere. However, in the course of time, she showed a keen interest in learning and I started teaching her daily. As she made progress, I thought how to assist me towards improving my methods. My instructions to her during my practice made her to become a good teacher for women. I used to practice, I used to get exhausted, but every now and then the inner voice was singing, try.
From a raw beginner, he started developing qualitative intelligence as a student and also became a conscientious teacher.
At that time, I was thinking only of day-to-day survival. After all, now I had a wife and 6 children to support.
I was a child, 2.5 years. First, I used to have milk, but when this new baby was born and when new baby was to be given milk, apart from mother's milk, gradually my mother made me to switch over tea or coffee. We never had a tube light in the house. Just simple 60-volt bulb. We used to study under that 60-volt bulb. Simple food, chapati and vegetable. My mother used to say, what else we want? If it was a breakfast, it was the same thing. Lunch, same thing. Dinner, same thing. But I tell you, whatever she was preparing, if anybody comes at that moment, she won't say no to them. She will insist on that they should also eat with us.
When we went to sleep, both of us had a dream. Lord Venkateshwar of Tirupati came to me in my dream. He gave me a grain of rice and blessed me saying,
"From this day onwards, your struggles will be over. You shall devote all your time to teaching and practicing yoga."
The goddess of wealth, Lakshmi, came to Rama in a dream.
"My husband and I owe you a debt which I want to repay."
From that day, the things started changing. At least on that day, he had 3 new students coming at his door to ask for the lesson.
March 4th, 1952 was a turning point in Guruji's life as well as into the world's yoga community. It was at that time that he met Yehudi Menuhin.
When Menuhin came to India, he could not play violin. He had read about yoga and he said, I should find to retool myself. He met almost all yogis of India, teachers of Nehru, teachers of Rajendra Prasad, and some or other he came to know that there is one man in Pune teaching yoga. So some doctors said that the way he teaches is more scientific compared to others. So he invited me. He said, I've got only 5 minutes, can you see? And when I met him, he was completely tired, exhausted. But luckily, I told him, do Shavasana. So I took Shanmukhi Mudra. This is Shanmukhi Mudra. So he slept for 1 hour. He said, I have not slept in my life like this, so can you teach me yoga? Then I gave a demonstration for 45 minutes. He was so much impressed. I said, now you have to show what you are doing. So he showed Shirshasana. The moment he did Shirshasana, he was gasping. I said, this is not the way to do Shirshasana. So when I took him Shirshasana, he felt so light and his voice changed, his breathing process changed. Then he said, why don't you come to England?
My years with Mr. Ayengara remain vested in my memory, especially those precious moments when upon occasion I caught that wonderful sense of peace and perfection, allowed me to glimpse a state of being which indeed was worth the effort.
We regarded our meeting as one of the great events of our lives. And then my weekly trips to Bombay started.
Guruji came to Mumbai every Saturday as regularly as the rising sun.
He would take the afternoon classes at different places in Bombay. I remember in the class there would be about 7 or 8 of us, and he would see to it that we understood the drill and did it with every fervor. After that was over, he would go over to his hotel, which was the railway hotel at Chani Road. On Sunday morning, he would go to a private tuition and then start his morning classes, starting at about 8 o'clock, finishing at about 9:30, and after that, he would catch train to Pune. Whether it was his birthday or his family's birthday, for 36 years he carried on like that.
People came to me with different ailments and different body structures. I learned how to align their bones, muscles, joints, ligaments and tendons to bring uniformity in their bodies in each asana.
The mind gains clarity, direction, skill and ability in the Manomaya Kosh, the mental body. In this phase of Sundaراджa's life, people were attracted to his teaching. He went abroad and critical mass gathered round him.
महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरण विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा सा सा नि सा रे 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 नि रे सा 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 नि सा रे 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 नि रे सा सा नि सा रे रे नि रे सा सा नि सा रे रे नि रे सा.
People who only saw my success but did not know about the difficulties I overcame, as it was not my nature to talk about them or lament. In my demonstrations abroad, at first people thought I was just a contortionist, and I used to get very embarrassed. I used to be lonely and had no one to share my anguish for months on end. I did tell my children and my wife that you have to live a lonely life, I have to live a lonely life for the sake of yoga. So we have to think ourselves that we are separate for 3 months and the rest of the time we will be together.
I could realize that why he is going and how it's important when people are calling him to come to foreign countries to teach. But my brother and 3 younger sisters, they used to miss a lot and cry there only in the airport. When he used to return back, we could see him absolutely skeletal. He used to be absolutely like, you can't imagine.
Up to 1970, in the Western countries, vegetarian food was a really Herculean task. So I had to live only on honey, bread and coffee.
The English people thought that we are all slaves. They were treating just like dust. But to face them was a very hardship.
Whomever was even slightly colored was not allowed to come and eat with the other. They were telling, okay, he will stay, but providing that he doesn't come out of the room and he will be served in his room. You see the humiliation.
The Pope was interested in meeting him after hearing that a number of priests were studying yoga under one of Mr. Iyengar's former pupils. During a tour of Europe, Mr. Aiyengar met the 80-year-old Queen Elizabeth of Belgium, who after just 30 lessons surprised her physician by standing on her head for 8 minutes.
I said, Your Majesty, you're standing on your head. Do you know that? Are you happy? So she said, yes, I'm happy. She had also a cardiac problem. She had a heart patient. That I came to know after 3 days because the heart specialist who came to examine her, he said, your heart has improved. You're taking medicine regular? She said, no, I've changed the medicine. There is a doctor who has come from India and he's treating me. He said, what medicine did you give? I said, I did not give any medicine. I made a test on her head. And she continued her dull till her death. What she taught me was that if you have faith in your subject, you should not doubt in the art of teaching.
Lord Krishna's definition of yoga as equanimity, harmony, balance, and skillful adjustment acted as a guiding star in my sadhana. I began to refine my asanas, to experience and introduce these qualities in my teaching. In 1962, Tarapurwala publishers contacted me saying that we want a book from you on yoga. Can you write? Then I said, whatever all know, I have to present, but I will not write a book by giving a dozen photographs and saying that this is yoga, which I was dead against it. Anyhow, I undertook to work. The expressions were not relishing at all. So I told my wife, I don't think I'm born to write a book. So she went on coaxing, try.
During the floods in Pune, she had highest concern for his manuscript of Light on Yoga, which had not seen the light of the day. So she took care to see that in case the water came to our house, it had to be preserved.
Light on Yoga has been considered to be the magnum opus on the subject of yoga. It's clearly the canon that is used to measure all of the other books on the subject.
The epic Light on Yoga took 7 years to come into publication.
The moment the book came out, the BBC people interviewed me. They said, Mr. Aiyenger, you have also said several times, as many said, that yoga can be learned only by a qualified teacher, but not through books. Now you have brought over a book, what is your opinion? So I told them, a good book is better than bad teachers.
I was teaching a private lesson in my home studio, and the student walked in, very new student, only 2-3 lessons, and she took a couple steps in the door and had a full-blown asthma attack. She was bent forward, she was wheezing, she was gasping for air. I had no idea what was going on with her. She's panicking, and she barely manages to get out in between the wheezes that she's having an asthma attack, and that's how I knew what it was. And I had no idea what to do. So I decided to look in the back of BKS Iyengar's Light on Yoga because I remembered that there's a curative asana section in the back. So I look up asthma, and as soon as I find it in the appendix, I go, oh no. Because the first posture that's the curative asana for asthma is headstand, Shirshasana. And because this girl's such a rank beginner, and because she's having a panic attack and an asthma attack, I think, how in the world am I going to get her upside down? But I have wall ropes, and I made a pelvic swing, and I shoved her up in that pelvic swing and got her to go upside down. Now, what surprised me was not the fact that it worked, because I trusted it. Of course it's going to work. But what surprised me was how quickly it worked. Literally a microsecond after she got upside down, her breathing calmed and she was fine.
"75 years after Mahatma Gandhi faced it, South Africa's apartheid policy came in the way of Mr. Iyengar's traveling to South Africa, where he would have been only a second-class citizen, a position he was not prepared to accept. The yoga enthusiasts in South Africa, not to be discouraged, invited him to Mauritius instead.
Guruji revolutionized and actually began speaking on the theory as well as the practice of what yoga was in his demonstrations.
Was the top leg toe also. As this toe is facing the floor, that toe is extended upwards. What I say, freedom from each and every part of our body. Unless and until the freedom is gained in the body, freedom of the mind is a far-fetched idea.
I work to unite the organs of action and senses of perception in order to connect them to the mind. I work towards cultivating emotional stability, which is essential for a sadhaka. I had to build up that how to present my asanas in such a way that I should attract people and influence them to take to yoga by moving like a dancer from one end to the other end in order to see that the whole stage is covered by one person.
The famous American sculptor Robert Engman wrote to Mr. Aiyengar, "It was absolutely the most incredible and most moving physical and mental expression I have ever witnessed in my life. I have never seen anyone master his mind and body with complete control the way you did." Engman, chairman of the Graduate Department of Fine Arts at the University of Pennsylvania, was so impressed by his performance that he made a sculpture and called it after Aiyengar.
The yoga taught from the time of civilization is the only golden key.
His demonstrations have helped such charitable causes as the War on Want, India Famine Relief, Pune Flood Relief, Prime Minister's Relief Fund, Bhudan Movement, and Catholic Charities. Mr. Aiyengar was a yogi with a difference. He did not conform to the then prevalent popular conception of the mat-haired, trident-holding, ash-besmeared sadhu. In fact, he rode a scooter and wore Western clothes. In those days, he practiced daily for 3 hours and said the day he stopped practicing, he would stop teaching.
I touched vastness. The unknown was still vaster than what I knew.
When he used to go to teach as a private lesson to their house, he used to use the bed, writing table, dining table. So these ideas came to him because people used to ask that how to do when you are not there to help us. Because otherwise, before that, his hands and legs were really the props.
When Patanjali speaks of Sabija Pranayama, supported Pranayama, Nirbija Pranayama, unsupported Pranayama, even in Samadhi, this terminology comes as Sabija Samadhi, Nirbija Samadhi. It struck me that there must be a state where asanas also need a support. So I started finding out means. These props are means where bija or the seed, where they would be attracted to practice.
Sometimes he is preparing chapati and then he knows that a round shape is required there for that body to support in that manner. He would ask for that. So literally she has to clean that where she is preparing chapati immediately. She has to, the napkin or this thing, she has to clean it and pass it on to him, and then when it returns back again, wash it and then use it for the chapatis.
All the time she told that if he has any success, it was because that motto, that energy, that Shakti was Ramamani, his wife behind him.
Her role was vital. Her atmosphere really diffused certain things and transformed certain things, and that's how the world was able to receive him.
When I was in the peak of life, she passed away. She was really a wonderful lady, very tolerant lady, very helpful lady, and looking after everyone with kind-heartedness. Both of us lived very happily for 30 years.
It was really remarkable. He didn't shed a tear. An ordinary man would have been shattered, but he took it in his stride. He hugged the children. He just didn't say anything.
Whenever we saw something beautiful, having a beautiful experience, having a nice flight, having something lovely, we thought if she was there, she would enjoy. Believe me, sometimes I felt that he is thinking so much of his wife that his wife was present with us as though she was traveling with us.
गीताबाईच्या इथे इतकं सगळं चांगलं होतं ना की आमच्या माझ्या 3 दिराचं 3 मुलींचं लग्न सगळं त्यांनीच केलं. सगळं कपड्यापासून दागिन्यापासून भांड्यापासून सगळं त्यांनीच आणायचं. कधी आम्हाला पैसे द्यावं लागले नाही. कधी म्हणजे कधी त्यांनी असं परक्यासारखं धरलंच नाही.
Raman was very keen on me building a house and an institute next to one another so that I could step out of our house and teach. She was very happy when we bought the land.
Planes from all over the world flew to Pune in January 1975, and his disciples came from all the 5 continents of the world for the inauguration of the Ramamani Aiyengar Memorial Yoga Institute. It was the first of its kind in these parts. The baking is the final test for the pot where it could crack or come out stronger through the final rite of passage. Vijnana or conscious buddhi takes root in the Vijnanamaya kosha or the knowledge sheath. As he journeyed further within, cohesion took place between awareness and consciousness, the heart and the head, and Guruji was able to share knowledge and impact the world.
After Rama passed away, the institute came up and is doing really well. Just the way she had always dreamed it would by the grace of God. Then I had my family responsibility to take care of. I was a family man, not just a yoga teacher, and my children were of marriageable age. I found them grooms, and Savita, Vanita, Sunita, and Susita's marriages went off very well, as per our customs. Prashant and Geeta had been assisting me in my classes, as well as conducting independent class for a while now, and they decided not to marry and continued to assist me and teach on their own and manage the institute. I had taken care of all my responsibilities and life was peaceful and seemed to have finally settled into a daily routine of teaching and